Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for checking out the channel. As always, I greatly appreciate each and every one of you that come in here to listen to me talk about this team. Today, I got something different for you. I'm not going to be the one talking. I'm going to let a friend of mine talk. His name is Curtis. He's with ACEPERHEAD. If you haven't checked him out, go check out his channel, subscribe, and listen to what this man has to say. We had a great conversation, and he's very, very smart about football. Very technical, knows a lot about the ins and outs of the game, and the side that's not necessarily in the limelight too. So was very excited to have him on the channel. He's been a good friend to me since I started doing this, always having me on his channel, on his live streams, and I was very happy to be able to reciprocate that and have him on my channel as my very first guest. So enjoy the conversation, and we'll talk to you guys later. All right, so I'm sitting here with Curtis with ACEPERHEAD, and the deal with Curtis, he is the man, he is the myth, he is the legend.
If only. If only.
I first started doing this stuff 10 months ago, and when I first got started on this, I reached out to Curtis, and he was the most helpful person that I have met while doing this, and nothing but gracious and kind, and invited me onto the show. And I've been trying to up my game to the point where I could have a guest on my channel, and once I finally figured that out, I thought, well, there's nobody else I'd rather have on here than Curtis. So Curtis, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And like I said, we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, it's Dolphins, man. There's always something. Not a lot to talk good, but there's a lot to talk about.
Yeah. So I mean, we had this recent development go on with Jalen Ramsey. Obviously, there was a post made on Twitter about 3 or 4 days ago, and it was saying that we were being expected to lose one of our Pro Bowl All-Pro players. Now, we only have a couple All-Pro players.
Narrows it down pretty much.
So, and we talked about this on your live stream on your channel, and I, like a big dork, said, I just don't see any way that we're going to trade off Jalen Ramsey or Tyreek Hill. And the next day, this comes out that Jalen Ramsey and the Miami Dolphins have mutually, whatever that means, mutually agreed to a trade.
Yeah.
So I want to get your thoughts on this. And before we start talking about it, I want to throw the money out there so we can see what this is going to mean for Miami. We're looking at a pre-June 1st trade.
Ain't happening.
$30 million in dead cap for 2025.
Nice.
And $12.5 million against our cap, our regular salary cap.
That's a trade, not cut, right?
Trade, yes, that's a trade.
Yeah, I checked. It was a little different, but that's a lot of money, man.
Yeah,
they maybe changed or something like that. Maybe it was like a roster bonus or something. And
there's a roster bonus. I think it's closer to $6 million against the cap.
Yeah, man, that's good, man. The more roster bonus you got to pay, the better.
Yeah, and for a post June 1st trade after June 1st, that's $11 million, and obviously you got to take out the roster, or it's $6 million in cap. So, and then it's $11 million dead cap for 2025 and 18.5 dead cap for 2026.
Nice. We like our dead cap. That means we're right on track. We had 30 this year, man. We're in position for 30 next year.
I'm gonna get to a point where we pay off Xavier Howard off our dead cap finally, and then we add this. So what do you think about all this? What do you think about this Jalen Ramsey trade?
Well, it's so funny. I love Greer. He, I did feel bad for him in his conference, but when he's talking, man, it's like the guy who had the girl and he got dumped by her, and he goes sees his friends and he's like, we both decided to break up, and everybody's like, Yeah, sure. The next day you see Amanda walking with Big Tony. Yeah, it's just he got dumped.
Yeah.
He got dumped. We don't know why. He got dumped, and he can't admit it.
Yeah,
He's trying to.
the whole I he did not request a trade, but we decided, okay,
Yeah.
there's no way, right, that this happens any other way other than
A trade or a cut.
then Ramsey saying, "Yeah, I don't want to be here anymore. I don't like what's happening, or I don't like so and so, and I just is there something we can do?"
Yeah, the BS meter was breaking on my computer. I had to like actually go to low fi, man, because it was just. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. How does anybody? And that's the thing. It's like with Chris Greer, I started to feel bad for him. It was almost like I felt bad because this guy just looked like he was just being crushed by everything. But then he doesn't help himself because he just comes out and BS's and does his thing. And he got dumped. Ramsey wanted out. He saw something there he didn't like. He said, I'm done. There is no way we can get along. I'm out. That's it.
Yep.
Why can't he even say that? He would look – see, Chris Greer is like a mentally disturbed in some ways because he constantly like doubles down on this, trying to massage the optics, and it always makes him look worse. But if he simply came out, hey, I screwed this up. He just didn't want to be here anymore. He wanted out. And so we're going to try to find people feel respect for him. But when you come out and it's like, you got a 1955 Studebaker, it's got broken windows, you restart it up and the steam starts blowing out. And you're like, oh, no, this is a winner, man. This is a winner. Oh, that's nothing. That just happens every time. It's like, dude, he wanted out. That's it. He doesn't want to be with this team anymore for whatever reason.
Yep.
And he can't cut to the chase and say that. He's got to do his whole thing, and it makes him look like a bigger jackass.
Yeah, I think we're seeing just a bigger problem with Chris Greer that he just cannot accept responsibility for anything.
Ever. And that's what I've been saying for you. I mean, we'll get into the Chris Greer presser.
Yeah.
But I did started feeling bad for him. He kind of created his own monster, and if he had been a stand-up guy, I would never have the animus that I have towards him, but he's such a BS artist. He's always shifting blame to everybody but him. And so on one hand, I felt like, oh, man, I feel bad with this guy. I'm like, you deserve this. And you're going to come out and triple down, man. Ugh.
Yep.
So, yeah, it's sad. This is going to be tough, man.
Yeah, it's going to be hard. And like I said, this changes a lot of things. I don't know if it changes the draft process too much because we were already we need a cornerback right off the bat anyway.
Oh yeah.
But
I do think it might force them to reconsider trading back, because let's say you trade back to 20 something, you might be out Barron, you might be out Johnson, and you might be out Starks. Is Emanwari the guy you're willing to roll with? Yeah. So it could force them to either limit the distance that they trade back, because you can't go into the the Cam Smith conversation. That was something else though, man.
I guess we should just talk about the press conference, because
why not?
The Cam Smith thing that's
the gift that keeps on giving, Chris Greer.
That's a big part of it. Yeah. The press conference was it was hard to watch. Like you said, I felt kind of bad for Chris Greer in some ways, but I'm telling myself,
he's even letting the Gray show trying to get sympathy. He's like, look, I'm an old man.
I'm telling
myself, gentle on
me. He asked for it. This is his monster that he's created. So
but no, it's not his fault.
Oh,
it's not his fault.
But that's the part that I noticed is, we're sitting here, you mentioned Cam Smith, and I said earlier, and a lot of people do, he does not, and you say it a lot too, he does not accept responsibility for any of the things that he's done. Well, he did Cam Smith.
It was his son did, because they were like shared a room or something.
and now
name his son.
In this
it's not my fault.
In this press conference, he goes, well, we can't hold his hand anymore. He's got to step up. Well, are you saying that because you don't want to accept responsibility for making a bad draft pick, or what? Because And I mean, it's kind of, his fault for drafting him in the first place.
Nah, it's somebody else's fault. The coaches. He kind of gives them what they want. So it's not him. It's never him. He's got like the get out. He's him and the media that's pushed this thing has generated the get out, the eternal get out of jail free card. Well, I drafted Xavier. You notice how he always takes credit for all the big good picks, but he never takes any credit for the ones that don't. Like I drafted Xavier Howard, and I drafted, Hunt, and I drafted. What about Harris, man? Over what? What about Rosen and Dieter and Eichenberg? Remember in his last presser, he goes, all the guys we got Hunt and he's trying to find guys like Kinley, and he never even mentioned Eichenberg.
Yeah, and he made sure to mention Eichenberg this time, and I don't know how to feel about him sometimes because, like I said, obviously. I recognize that this press conference was very hard for him to do.
Oh, yeah.
Had to have been.
Brutal.
I mean,
you could see he was like slumped. Like he normally slumps a little bit. This was like, he was like, you could feel the world on him, man.
Yeah. And
hello, next question.
And major props to the Dolphins media members sitting there and asking those questions because
they did good.
They were ruthless about it, and I loved it. They asked, and they did it nicer than I would have. I mean, they asked every question that I would have asked him, just slightly nicer than I would have. But I mean, I guess they have to. But
yeah.
And
and hear me say, "Omar Kelly hates me."
Yes,
my wife's girlfriend. So why does this guy hate you?
It was unreal.
I'm melting.
And Omar Kelly and Dudley Do-Wrong and those guys were on their live stream that night, and they were just torturing Omar about it. But I mean, he had to ask the questions, and like I said, it's kudos to them for asking them, because we're all wondering those questions. Is this good enough for you? Are you sure this is the whole thing where
I just want to get you guys off my back. Trust me, we want to win. Mike and I want to win. We're just going to get you guys off our back.
Yeah, that was frustrating when he said that.
And he's like, sometimes you miss, but everybody misses. Yeah, everybody misses in the draft.
Everybody does miss in the draft. That's true,
but not like him.
Not like him. Yeah,
special.
And you look at a whole body of work with Chris Grier. You got to look at it like this is a failure.
No, not. But it's Brian Flores' fault. It's Tannenbaum's fault. It's Gase's fault.
It's Mike
everybody.
McDaniel's
and remember, he even said Mike McDaniel. Well, Mike McDaniel came in and he had a way of doing things, and now he's getting closer to how we do things.
Yep.
Are you freaking kidding me? This guy. I mean, how do you expect anybody to have accountability when the guy at the top has zero?
Yeah. So quick to pass the buck.
Oh, man. This is not me. That guy was, what that guy, he was like the guy with the pocket protector in like elementary school. And like, who stole the lunch? He did it. He did it. Not me.
Yeah.
He did it. Guy's like a rat.
And like, I get, him not wanting to, shine bad light on his organization. I understand to a point, but even with the Ramsey stuff, when he came out and he was like, just to address the elephant in the room with what everybody's talking about this morning. Let's get this out of the way. I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, dude, you guys know what you did a couple hours beforehand. They're the ones that leaked this. It's like they were preparing us, they were going to talk about it. It's not like they could just go up there and ignore this. But when he started talking about the Ramsey thing, it just frustrated me. It made me think, man, this would be a really good time for him to say, look, he came to us and he requested a trade. Like, that's not going to hurt anybody, Like, it would be refreshing to have that kind of honesty because nothing else makes sense, right? I mean, is there any other way that this makes sense other than Ramsey requesting to be traded?
Yep. Well, so it's the same. It's like Maya Angelou says. Or Angelou. I don't ever know how to pronounce a name. I can't pronounce anybody's names. Believe them when they show you who they are the first time. And everything in darkness eventually comes to light. The guy's got no character. He's a corporate dude. He'll stab anybody to get out of it and to keep his job going. He's just he's a leader. Like whatever you say about Brian Flores, but every week he said, it's my fault. It starts with me. We got to get better. We weren't good enough. Like, okay. Yeah, okay. It's obvious. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
But then when you're like, well, the stars weren't in line, but when you really look at it through the mirror, you could see that it wasn't really me. It was kind of like something over there. I call him a snake.
Yep.
He's a snake. He doesn't know how to tell the truth, to be honest. He doesn't know how to take accountability. All he knows how to do is defer and blame everybody else. And that's why he never grows. And I heard him say, like, well, I've been reflecting on how things were, and I might have deferred to the coaches more, and I'm learning from, like, dude, you've been here 10 years.
Yeah. So he's
he's
been GM for 10 years. He's been with the team for 20, 22.
Yeah.
22,
something
like that. And we have a head coach who was never an offensive coordinator, got bumped straight into head coaching. And
then had to win instantly.
And had to win right off the bat. And he has more sense of responsibility
than
our owner or our GM. And I'm blown away by it. And that's a good segue, actually, because I did want to ask you about this too. I want to ask you about Mike McDaniel. I mean, I have my thoughts on him, but I was curious what yours are in regards to how he's doing. Do you think that he deserves a little more grace moving forward, or do you think he should go with Grier right out the window? Because we're agreed that Grier should be gone.
Oh, a long time ago.
Yeah. But I wanted to ask you about McDaniel. What do you think about him? Do you think that he deserves more grace with how he's been doing, how he could be, the steps that he's taken or not taken? What do you think?
Well, I think that we scraped the bottom of the barrel in order to get people here because nobody wants to come here. And we took a green head coach who was in the booth, who was a run game coordinator, asked him to be HC, OC, and win immediately. And then you give him a really crappy offensive line, despite the many talk over the years that was different. And so, yeah, he hasn't been good enough. But the job that he was asked was so far above any normal expectancy for anyone to succeed at, given his background and the situation handed over to him. And I think he's got a lot to grow in. But what I saw is a guy with character. Yeah. He does the thing and kind of, but you saw him kind of stepping forward a little bit more this offseason. And I don't know if he's the guy for us, but if you were to ask me, is there any hope? There's no hope for Grier. None. Yeah. Zero. Is there any hope for Mike McDaniel? I think there could be. I don't know if it's here. It could be in the future. I think that guy's got to go back to formula. I think he got a lot of experience. And we'll see this year. Maybe this year because look, we're talking about this. I hear people saying like 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 wins. If he gets that range or even 7, just think about what Brian Flores had in 2019 and how his team responded. There's no way Mike McDaniel should end in that range. What did we win? 4 wins that year?
Yeah,
4?
I think it was 4. Yep.
So there's no way he should go from 4 to 6. I think 7 wins is the bottom that's allowable. And if he starts winning 7, 8, or even gets 9, that's a big sign that he's able to pull these guys together and coach this thing up. We really don't know how much Weaver's involved in that. But we'll see. We got to wait for the season to play out. But he's shown me a lot more. But he's got a long way to go in the X's and O's.
Yeah.
But we'll say, what happens if we come back this year and he gets the play calls in quicker and he starts having some audibles and he gets 7, 8, 9 wins, considering what mess we're probably going to have, then that's a different story. Yeah. I think we got to see. But, there's a lot of flaws to what we've seen from him. But that's not that's like, was it like a Suicide Squad job?
Yeah, they say the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. So
there you go.
I mean, you're very, you could be right with that, And like I said, I do personally, I tend to throw a little more grace towards Mike McDaniel just because of, the way he was thrust into this. I mean, and I said on a live stream a couple weeks ago or a week or so ago that, if any of us were Mike McDaniel and we were a run game coordinator, and the Miami Dolphins, even if we weren't fans, if they came to us and said, "You want to be a head coach?"
Oh yeah, 10 mil.
I'd jump all over that in a heartbeat. I mean, I'd be there yesterday.
Oh yeah.
And I'd be like, "Well, I'll learn this on the go." You know, and I think that's kind of what's
He even
going
said
on
that. He had made a comment about that. He asked Shanahan if he should take the job, and Shanahan said, "You never know when you're going to get asked again. This has changed your family for life."
Mm-hmm.
The money. He even mentioned it.
Yep. And he did also mention, you know, in his last press conference, he talked about recognizing a need for him to change some things with the way he does his business, and he did mention, you know, that he is going to be counting on his offensive coordinator, his pass game coordinator, and his quarterback coach more this year for providing him with the things he needs to get plays in faster, specifically mentioning player packages and play packages, so formation packages. So assuming something like that happens, I think that could help a lot with getting plays in proper. So
I think though that getting to play in earlier is very important. But if you don't have an ability to adjust at the line of scrimmage, then there's only so much bonus that actually gives you. Yeah, it'll allow you to settle down, maybe take stock of the play, get guys to do the full motions and all that. But the goal is to get to the line of scrimmage as quick as possible, so then you can take advantage of the manipulation pre-snap.
Yep.
And so that's going to be a big thing for me is Tua can't go to the line of scrimmage and have a pass play, and it's pass coverage, and he can't get out of it. If McDaniel can't set that up in year 4, then he's not the guy. That's like the biggest key for me. There's no way that that's acceptable. You don't have to have – just look, call 2 plays in the huddle, and you get to the line of scrimmage and you make a basic read. Inside run or pass, or outside run, inside run, and pass. And you just get to the line of scrimmage and you make that call. It's like that's not – anybody could do that.
Yeah.
You know, it's a little more complicated because now they got to remember 2 plays, and I don't know if some of the guys can remember that. But that's what expected on the pro level, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, you mentioned that in a couple videos you made earlier this offseason about, you know, reducing the pre-snap motion and increasing audible system. And I agree 100%. That's definitely a big way to help this a bunch.
Cheat motion's no longer – it doesn't provide the benefit it used to.
Yeah, it doesn't do what it did back in that first year of us doing it.
No.
So, yeah, I think you're 100% right. I think adopting a little more involved audible system or some kind of audible system.
Yeah, just call 2 plays. They call 2 plays in the huddle.
Yep.
That's it. Doesn't have to be too crazy, you know.
Yeah,
but the way they play us, it's always this shell pass defense. All you need is a simple inside run, man.
Yep.
The edge guys are wide out. The linebackers are 6 yards deep.
Yep.
Run inside, man.
Yeah, you see that bubble right behind the defensive lineman. Take that every single play. Yeah, definitely.
Oh, yeah.
If you're looking at 5-on-3 with that equalizing linebacker, like you said, 6 to 8 yards back, they are not expecting a run or they're not respecting it.
Nope.
You know, so you got to punch them in the mouth at that point, and you're right.
And if you can't, then that's like clear offensive line stuff, which that's a whole nother topic.
And it's not like making those kind of decisions requires some magical brainiac quarterback, but even if it did, right? We have Tua isn't some things, but he is a very intelligent quarterback, right? He has the ability to run an audible system.
Listen, if a monkey like me can go look at the film and see them playing cover 2, see the DBs rocking back, ready to drop in zone, and the linebackers are sitting at 5 and 6 yards, even Melonhead can figure it over here. I think Tua's had about 10,000 reps in the game and go, oh, you know what? Let's call the run. Come on. I mean, there's a difference, you know. There's the whole Manning thing and the Brady thing. That's not what we're talking about,
right?
Because they have no respect for our run game. They attack us in such obvious ways that it's just such a basic adjustment to call 2 plays in the huddle, pass run. And then whatever you do, it's the opposite. There's no reason. If it's not there, then forget it, man. This whole thing's going to sink. And then McDaniel needs to go. And Greer, of course, with him.
Right. So with this little slight Tua talk, I got to ask, what do you think? What's your thoughts on Tua? Do you think that he has the ability to do the things that we so madly and desperately desire as Dolphins fans, or is this a lost cause with Tua?
Well, you know what it is? The whole problem is that the polarity of extremes and evaluations is very frustrating. The kid, we have no clue. You tend to not believe he can lead this team to a Super Bowl, especially because of the injuries. He does have the yips and big moments.
Yeah.
But Neil O'Donnell threw those 2 picks, but he led his team to a Super Bowl, and he was terrible too. So we're not talking about winning Super Bowls. We're talking about having some kind of functionality, having some kind of success. And the fact that they put him in a framework that's this is Dan Marino's framework. Pass all day, no run game, and we're relying on you to gunsling your way to success. It's insane. He's not capable of that. He's capable of other things. Look at what they do in Mayfield.
Yeah.
He could be a Mayfield. I think Mayfield has some attributes that are a little higher than Tua. I think he's got more moxie. He's a little more mobile.
Yeah.
But Tua's got the release and he's got the anticipation. So you could take Tua as long as he's not injured, and that's the biggest thing. The injury thing is the only absolute legit thing. You could say hey man, I don't think this guy could do it. But should have won a playoff game or 2 with him. Now he might not be the guy to go all the way, but come on, Goff, he's Mayfield, Darnold. We went to a playoffs with Pennington with a dead arm. I mean, dead.
Couldn't throw 30 yards to dead.
No. I mean, he had more leadership and
Sure.
moxie than Tua, but the arm was go back and watch those games. They were like rainbows for 30 yards.
Yep.
That's a noodle arm.
Yeah.
So you can look, the whole point of football is it's a team game. You build the right team and you have the right leaders and you keep rinse and repeat year after year, and you keep bringing in quarterbacks and you move out the ones that are not as good as the ones you got in, and you just keep going until you get the right one. That's how the Ravens did it. That's how the Steelers do it. This is how teams that know how to win continually win. It's the right framework. It's the consistency. Some people say, well, I'm tired of getting new regimes in here. It's not consistency of crap. It's consistency of functionality is what you stick with. Crap is always going to be crap no matter how much you stick to it.
Yep.
So, look, Tua's picked 5th overall. That sucks if he's not the guy. But look at Trey Lance.
Yeah.
And they went to the Super Bowl, and they found Purdy in the 7th,
That's true.
So I think the kid's got weaknesses. I think he's never been – this offense is not the offense I would have created for him. Right out of the box, Gailey would have had a better offensive system than this. And the way Gailey would have done it is more through the run game and
definitely
and tight ends and calling plays to create production. This is scheme design. And it's all the plays, they're all kind of like the same thing. It's all about, and I learned this from Darius, it's all about the receiver and the quarterback reading the coverage. But you're not really dialing up plays. You're dialing up plays of scheme and then overlaying it and letting the players make the decisions. You're not dialing stuff up. And McDaniel doesn't have a great feel for things too. So I thought Gailey would have been the perfect coach for him. He should have sat for 3 years, give Fitz, 2020 and 2021, 22, Tua should have taken over. You would have kept building the offensive line, hopefully. I mean, Greer was here, so, whatever. But it would have been a heavy run staple, inside, outside run. And so this kid's not been, this kid's best talents this offense doesn't accentuate his best talents. It puts him in, he's a little bit of a short quarterback. You make him throw really quick. You don't have a run game. You're one-dimensional, and you ask him to carry you. He can't.
Yeah. I think we would be having a different conversation about Tua if what you just said was kind of more of the way we went with his first few years in the league for sure. I think we would have seen something different, or at least be talking differently about him. But
yeah, you'd have been like, he's all right. He's not bad. He's pretty good. And if maybe things worked out right, you'd be like, oh, okay. But, those injuries or, I don't know if he's good enough. It'd be like a golf talk.
Yeah, the injury thing is the worst part for me. And that's kind of why I said last year I was upset when they gave him the contract. Something inside my brain was like, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. And sure enough, they gave him that extension. And I didn't want it to happen.
They gave everybody an extension. They gave you an extension. They just like to throw the money around.
I didn't want – it wasn't anything about his gameplay. That was the part that I always talk about is I'd never had an issue with the way he plays the game. I think Tua is a good quarterback. And I would put him top 12 in the league right now. But it's the injury thing, like you said. That's the kicker with Tua, and I didn't want him to go and give that contract to him with one healthy year under his belt, and they did, and so
I wanted them to go on the 5th-year option.
Yep.
But I said when I gave him it makes sense because all these guys are so locked in. It made sense from their point of view.
Sure. Yep.
But it was a big roll of the dice. They crapped out pretty much on everything.
And now we're pretty much, even if he turns into the worst quarterback in the world, I think we're pretty much stuck with him through 27.
2 more years, unless he retires.
Yeah, so I mean, hopefully, he can put a couple healthy years here together at the end of this, and kind of get rid of that sense of nervousness that I have, and a lot of fans have, because I'm not the delusional fan that says Tua sucks, or cut Tua. That's just ridiculous to imply that. I don't think Tua sucks at all, for sure.
No. There's a lot of guys that suck.
Yes.
What you would probably want, because the reality is he's never going to be healthy, is you'd want him to have mostly 2 healthy seasons. You'd want to find a good guy, a rookie, to behind him that you want to. Yeah. And then at the end of next year, you can move off him and maybe get some trade ammo for him. And then you could really start, because 27 is the year now for me. The next 2 years are dead years. 27 is, if we do it right, is the launch year. And if you can move off Tua that year, you can. The money's very manageable. Yeah. And if you can get a 3rd-round pick, and you can't get it, you could. If he stays healthy for 2 more years, you might be able to get something like that. Get something if he's not staying totally healthy and he isn't stellar.
Yeah.
So you want, even if you don't like to and you want him off the team, you want him to be healthy and succeed so they have the opportunity to get something for him.
Yeah, and you take the pulse of the league, not necessarily fan bases because we're fans and we're crazy, but you take the pulse of the league, other GMs and other owners in the league, like the owners meetings and stuff. An owner said, well, if they ever get rid of Tua, send him our way,
Yeah.
A lot of teams would definitely love to have. For sure, even with the injury history. So hearing stuff like that makes me, think, he is good. Is he elite or great? No, I wouldn't say that. Does he flash? He does flash. He has those moments, but I guess time will tell here if he can shed the happy feet when it gets to points where games are important. And
the thing is too is like how screwed up has he been? Why would you remember how bad that I called it the 45th best offensive line in football in 2021?
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
No, that was horrible.
That's all we do here.
Yeah.
Look, Tannehill sucks. We got to get rid of Tannehill. Okay, Tannehill went to the conference championship and won a couple of divisions.
That's true.
And he did play a part. He had 1 year. It was like 38 touchdowns or something. That was the right framework. He's not the greatest, no, but he almost got you to this. Could you imagine what Dolphins fans would be like if Tua got us to the conference championship, even if he lost?
Yeah.
You never seen that kind of success in, what, 30 years?
Yeah, 30-something. Yeah, long time. 40. Long time. And a lot of these fans, that's something, I don't, some of these fans have never experienced division winning football from Miami. It's been that long.
Well, we won the division, 2010, right, or something? When Brady got his ACL blown out, or no, his Achilles blown out.
I think so.
And then we got destroyed by the Ravens.
Yes, that was, yep.
With the Pennington noodle arm.
Yeah, and Sperano.
Yeah. But it was his fault. I mean, he had Pennington.
Yep, that's true. Yep. So I mean, we're covering these things, and like I said, the Tua talk makes perfect sense, and at the same time, we have Tua and his targets, people he throws the ball to, and we have this one character that is so vital to Twitter or X and media and all this stuff and all these rumors and talking, and
wonder who that could be.
this is none other than Mr. Handcuff himself, Tyreek Hill.
Oh yeah, the victim,
Yes.
victim number 2.
So my questions for Tyreek, this is a short. We don't have to talk much on Tyreek because I'm kind of Tyreeked out. I don't know if you are.
Yeah.
But
Oh yeah.
basic thoughts: keep him or get rid of him next year. How do you feel about it?
Next year, gone.
So I
Instantly.
had this thought on this. I had this thought that instead of people saying cut him right now and take that huge hit that we would take if we cut him right now, instead of that, no one's going to trade for him this year. He was injured. He had his little surgery. He had all that stuff going on at the end of the year. He needs
extracurriculars.
He needs a clean year
Oh
in order
yeah.
to be anything worthy of trading.
Yeah.
And I tell people, let's let him play this year. Tell him, look, you screw up the slightest bit, you slip on one piece of rubber dog crap, just one time. You slip once, and you're sitting for a game. In this kind of a year where he knows he's going to get traded, he knows he's not going to be a Dolphin after next year, or after this year. If he knows that, and he gets told you're going to miss a game if you screw up, not the trolling. The trolling is going to happen no matter what. But I'm talking tackling plus-size models, slapping boat captains, and domestic disturbances at home. Those kind of things. You screw up in those kind of areas, we're going to sit you for a game. If we tell him that, I don't think that he continues with that. I think he's on good behavior after that.
I don't.
Ah, man.
Because look, you have to understand, it's an addiction. His narcissism has reached a point of he's not in control anymore. Because if he was, he wouldn't have had this domestic issue that happened.
Right.
He's not able to control it. He's not in control of himself. His narcissism, his selfishness, he's got no impulse control.
Major anger issues, I think.
Yeah, well, he's very insecure. There's some deep-seated stuff. I don't know exactly what it is, but yeah, he's a weak guy overplaying his hand, and he's a narcissist. So there's no. I mean, maybe he will stay clean, but it's not. That would take not it's just luck, because the right situation he would have no control. He doesn't have control. He can't think outside of his that moment and that feeling. So no, if we get lucky, I mean, every year it's something.
Yep, every year. So are we at a point where we just have to hope that he? Yeah.
Get anything from get a pack of burritos and a 4th round pick and call it a day, man. We won. That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's a hard situation to be in, but I think you're right. I don't think that I think we're on the same page there. There's nothing we can do about it this year. It's just going to hurt us more.
It's the gutting. We're gutting, man. It's like you walk in. My wife watches all those like home building shows, HGTV, whatever. And you see the house. It's like kind of nice inside. When you get inside, all you see is roaches and rats, and the foundation's rotted. So all you got to do is start tearing that stuff out, man, down to the studs again.
And
that's all you got to do.
Chris Greer in that press conference, when they asked him about team leadership, What did he say?
Sealer and
Tyreek Hill.
And yeah, Tyreek Hill. Oh my lord, Tyreek Hill.
Like, okay, I don't understand.
And you hear him, and the players voted him team captain.
I don't know if I don't think he's going to be captain this year.
Probably.
Do you think part of the problem because we know Jalen Ramsey is kind of a
narcissist too. He's not as bad as Hill though.
Yeah, he's more of a shutdown type of guy. He just kind of closes himself off because he knows he's that way, and he doesn't want to be.
No,
in the
he's
spotlight.
manageable.
Yeah, he doesn't want to be in the spotlight, right?
Except when he was with the Jaguars.
So it makes me wonder if he just kind of has a big issue with what Tyreek Hill did and did at the end of the season and everything else. Maybe not with.
Maybe I don't think he's a bad guy, and maybe he's like, this guy's a loser. I don't want to play this, and I don't want to be here for this dysfunctional crap show that's likely going to go down.
Yep.
I got, I'm 31. How much longer can he play the position? Maybe he plays free safety or something.
Yeah. And that's what I was wondering too. Is I wonder if they actually told him, "Hey, we want to put you at safety this year."
Maybe.
But I mean, that doesn't really make sense considering how hurting we are for cornerback right now. I'm trying to wrap my head around what could have caused him to say, "I don't want to be here anymore." So many different
He's done it
options.
before. Look, this place is a total crap show, man.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about it. Fangio's a bad old guy. Get out.
Yep.
Like, and now even like listen to Greer, he's starting to like pin it on. When Mike McDaniel, he had a culture, a way of doing things, but now everybody throws everybody under the bus. It's a den of snakes. I coined that phrase in 2021.
It's a good phrase.
Den of snakes.
So with that, and with everything we've talked about, all this drama, these messes, we know about the team. We know what the issues are there, the needs. Are we in a win now mode, as Chris Greer still implies, or are we in a soft rebuild?
We're in a total rebuild. Listen. Do you hear the words that are coming out of my mouth? Don't believe any of that stuff. Everything that Chris Greer says, if you want to have a proper narration, you just flip it to the exact opposite. They're in a hard rebuild.
Definitely.
Are you kidding me? You got no safeties. You're soon to have no corners. Who's a nickel. He's not bad. You got no interior D-line except for Sealer. That's it.
That's it.
Well, we got Benito.
Yeah.
Benito's special. And you got your offense. Well, Eichenberg coming back. He plays multiple positions. Jackson. Oh, when he was in, we were killing it. Like, oh, we got Daniels coming off a torn Achilles. Yeah. We got Patrick Paul in his first year as a starter.
I do think that.
And we got Tua, who's injury prone.
Yep. And I do think Patrick Paul, I think the situation.
Oh, and Chubb, who hasn't played in almost 2 years, and Phillips coming off his second consecutive injury. Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at a mess.
Super Bowl.
Super
Bowl run.
That's TD right there. TD Finstock.
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
That's a Super Bowl roster right there, man. Screams Super Bowl.
I agree. It's definitely
that guy can't tell the truth on anything. He's just such a putz.
So with that, Chris Greer, Stephen Ross, who gets the most of the blame?
It's got to be Stephen Ross.
You think?
Yeah. He's in charge. Leadership is about taking responsibility. Oh, yeah. My kid goes out and steals something, and she's a child, young. I'm responsible. Yeah, you know what? They made the choice, but I led up to that point. I'm the leader. I always got to take responsibility, even if it's not totally my fault. I've got to accept the responsibility.
Right.
I set the tone. That's the way it is. Look at Kraft, who I can't stand. Mr. Masseuse. He fires Belichick, gets what's his face for 1 year, says this sucks. You're out. Vrabel, you're in.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, that's a guy who wants to win. He's like, ah.
So do you see any of this getting better until Stephen Ross leaves?
I don't know.
What do you think?
I want to believe it's possible. But I feel like I feel like I might tap into some hopium there.
I don't want to do that
I want to. Because I'm tired, man. It's like I was so tired being a fan. And then like once I had to start covering them, and then I had to start telling fans like the truth that they didn't want to hear, it's become like arduous, man. It's really like taken years from my life, I think. And so I want to believe at least maybe Ross is so old he's getting tired. Maybe after he totally screwed up, he's keeping his nose out of the business, and the league knows what his shenanigans. And maybe if they get rid of Chris Greer and Shore, he trusts, and Garfinkel, and then maybe Marvin Allen and Champ Kelly, they have a good draft, and he just lets them do it. I don't know. Maybe he sells the team in 27. Maybe he hands it off to his daughter, and she just kind of like lets all it doesn't interfere as much. I don't know. Maybe she just like him. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I want to believe, but if your leadership is screwed, then everything's screwed. Because, look, Ross has had problems with the tough guys. He had problems with Sperano. He had problems with Parcells. He had problems with Flores. But he likes all like the pencil pushers. And that's what Greer is. Greer is a weak dude, and he can't get along with guys. He gets along with the weak guys.
Yeah.
Even Crazy Gase. Crazy Gase was like kind of weak, but he was totally insane. So he was like a little bit of a tough guy too. But he was just crazy. He was unpredictable. It was like insane. Yeah, he's nuts. So it's like you want like a tough GM to come in and even tell the owner, listen, if you don't like me doing my job, then fire me. Or otherwise stay out. You hired me to do my job. This is not working. You listen, you're respectful, but you've got to say no. And that's what Greer should have done when Ross was doing all his trying to get Brady to talk to Flores and all the other stuff. But he didn't. He was just like, slither along. And whatever you want, Steven. What do you want, Steven?
Yep.
So I don't know. Maybe Ross stays out. Ross wants to win. He does a good job. And this thing that's shown he's a good guy, but I think he's just got control issues, and he doesn't know what he doesn't know.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know football at all.
He should just stick to writing the check, I think.
That's it.
Yeah.
But I don't know if he can. He's like, in a way, he's got it's what made him great was his control, his nature for control, and I know better, but it's the very thing that's destroyed him in football.
Absolutely. Yep, definitely. So let me ask you this then. If you woke up tomorrow morning and you got a phone call from the Miami Dolphins, and I love playing this game with people.
Oh, yeah, sure.
If you got a phone call from the Miami Dolphins saying, Curtis, we'd like to bring you on as the new general manager starting immediately. We'll pay you $6 million a year.
Pay me $500K.
You're on it, right? You'll accept that job, but let me
$500K, and I get to have lunch with Dan Marino twice a week.
Yes,
half an hour. That's all I need.
So with that, you are the GM starting right now. What do you do before this season starts? What's your course of action if you're the GM?
I would tell the owner. I'd say, Steven, listen, we're screwed. This thing's done. We got to let it ride on what we got here. We got to try to start maximizing our assets. We have to shake free whatever we can shake free, the garbage, and try to pick up as many picks as we can. We're not going hot and heavy, kind of like what your man Shore has been saying. And we've got to position ourselves for 2027. More than likely, Tua is not the guy. I think he could play, but injury is history. So we've got to start maximizing what we do here, picking up as many picks as we can get, start building through the trenches. We've got to look at Don Shula and the 70s Dolphins, understand the weather's getting worse. We play in the AFC East, which is bad weather division. Most of the good teams are bad weather areas on home games. We have to learn how to win on the road. We can't rely on getting home field advantage throughout. So we've got to totally change our MO. We're going to have to get rid of a lot of players. It's going to take 2 years to get rid of the Jacksons and the Brewers and the Eichenbergs, the Hills.
Yeah.
Well, whoever else, the Benito Jones and the Ramseys and the Cam Smiths and the Tyndalls. We got to get rid of these guys. We've got to position ourselves to have money to keep guys like Sealer for a few extra years, keep Waddle for a few extra years. Achane, we got to get prepared for his big contract. We've got to get value out of Wright. Jonnu is a guy we probably should position him to trade away maybe next year after after this season, but he's not long term. Paul, we've got to see if right away he's got to start and see if he's the guy for us. And if he's not, then we've got to begin to replace him next year. It starts in the trenches. And then I would say on defense, really, what do you got? Kohu, maybe. Chop's a guy you want to keep for the future if he could stop the run. He might end up being like a Melvin Ingram that took a few years. He could good, but we're going to have to get off Chubb as quick as possible. Sadly, Phillips, we're going to have to get rid of him. We can't trust him to stay healthy and invest in injured players. Brooks is a guy we should lock down. And that's pretty much our team right there.
Yeah.
And we've got to really reset this whole thing. We should go into this draft. We should try to trade back. And when we trade back, try to maximize our picks and try to trade back as much as we can without cutting our throats. Try to accumulate as many good players, get more capital for next year. Likely we're going to crap the bed this year and we'll have a better pick next year. So we take our picks from next year and this year. And then next year we try to get the best players we can get and do a little trade back so we have more capital for the year after that. And we keep filling this thing out and we live by competition. Even if he's your best buddy and he doesn't perform, you keep bringing guys in here to compete and steal his job, build through the trenches, draft quarterback this year, draft a quarterback next year, and you keep drafting quarterbacks till you find the absolute best. And that's would be my philosophies there, Mr. Ross.
You just
and don't
Mr.
screw around
Ross.
with me. Listen, Mr. Ross, I think the world of you. You're a very smart man, but when it comes to football, you got to let me do my thing. If not, I'm going to take my $500K and my 2 lunches with Dan Marino. I got to go because I can't be compromised because I'm here to win for you. And if I don't have character to tell you no, then I am not serving you the right way. So that's the deal, Mr. Ross. I will get you to win. I don't know about the Super Bowl, but I will get you to functionality, respectability, and physicality in short order by 2027.
And I know that if you were in a press conference with Miami Dolphins reporters and they asked you, are we in a rebuild? You would say, heck yeah, we're in a rebuild.
I wouldn't say that. I'd say, are you high? Don't you see our roster? Whatever drugs you're taking, give me some of those.
So last question here. With that, what you would do if you were the GM, can Miami improve this year over last season? What's the likelihood? And right now, if you had to make a prediction, gun to your head, how do you think it's going to go for Miami in the 2025-2026 season?
Well, to be fair, I'd have to see the draft, but I'm saying around 7 wins. But those 7 wins could be better than the 9 wins last year if we start building our team to pass bounds, physicality, and start adding quality players. If we hit 60% in the draft, then that's the right direction, even if you have 7 wins.
Yeah.
Because if you fire Greer, you start building physical, you hit 60% in the draft, and you start offloading the losers, and then there's a chance or likelihood or a possibility that you hit 60% next year. And then you're in the right philosophical direction. And then you string 2 good years in drafts together. And then now you could say, oh, well, maybe we'll get to 9 wins next year. But those 9 wins might feel like the 11 wins we had a few years ago. And then now you go into 27. And then you string together 3 drafts, and maybe one's 50%, one's 60%, one's 55% hit rate in your drafts. But now you've traded more picks back and you've acquired more ammo, and now that 55% is even better because you have more shots. Like you could have 2 picks in a draft and hit 50%, but with only one guy's making it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this year's about 7 wins until I see the draft. Maybe less. I think the Patriots are going to be very tough. I think the schedule is going to be tough. We're going to be super thin. Well, God forbid Sealer goes down.
Yeah.
Or Paul goes down. Or Brooks goes down. I mean, this thing it would implode. But it's just about building right. You just got to build right and smart.
Yep. Well, Curtis, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate you. You're my first guest, my first Mondo famous guy on YouTube.
Big mouth, the bald-headed big mouth.
I really appreciate everything you've done for me, getting started in this, helping me along.
Always, brother.
Having me on your channel all the time. Why
It's a
don't
pleasure,
you tell everybody here where they can find you, what you're up to, and anything else you want to share.
When I'm not dreaming on Mars, I do a YouTube channel called ACEPERHEAD. Check me out there, Curtis on ACEPERHEAD. I do the Twitter thing on occasion. I'm trying to do that. I'm actually going to be adding some interesting stuff. I think I'll be adding some cartoons going forward, Dolphins cartoons. So I will deal with that in the future. But mostly I just do the YouTube thing, ACEPERHEAD, and you see Curtis, my melon head, and I'm talking football.
Make sure to get over there and subscribe to him if you haven't. If you've been living under a rock, go subscribe to Curtis's channel.
Thank you, brother. You're the best.
One of the best in-depth people in this game talking about Miami Dolphins football. He's the man. Curtis, thanks for being on. I appreciate you. Everybody,
same here, brother. Likewise, 100%.
Fins up and stay hopeful if you can. If not, it's okay. We understand.